Okay.
Do we have sound?
We'll find out. Oh. Okay. Woo! Look at us go.
Here we are.
So
we didn't tell you, but the podcast actually started at 7:05 tonight.
Audio issues.
Yeah, I mean,
every time we do this, we have a new issue.
Yep, that's fun.
This one falls on Spencer because he's nursing some kind of. I think he had a sore tooth.
He got a toothache
or something. And then I walk in and Sam looks like Wyatt Earp with his mustache, and it's just things are just out. Like that's what happens when I don't show up to the shop for a few weeks. Things get unruly here.
It's been so crazy here. I'm surprised anyone has a brain. The podcast is a lot like planting a food plot. Every time you do it, a new challenge that you must overcome.
Like flipping on your audio.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you needed to turn on your audio?
Open the spreader, Tim. Why isn't there any seed coming out? You're on setting 0.
You got to open the spreader. Well, thank you for joining us. Cheers. Brought to you by Hop and Barrel again. And we got a new festive beer with an owl on the can.
You may have seen it earlier, but you definitely didn't hear us talk about it.
Muchos Ojos.
The new Mexican lager.
I should know this because I took Spanish twice in high school.
Much. What is ojos? Anybody? Help?
Ojos. AJOS.
J's are silent in Spanish.
Ojos. It's not ojos.
Yeah.
It might be.
All right, can somebody tell us what muchos ojos means?
We didn't cover that.
Really? Good day.
I think the silent J was covered in Spanish 3. I didn't quite make it that far.
You never got out of Spanish 1. Took it 4 times, but never got out.
No, I got all the way to 2, but I had to take it twice. I spent too much time trying to stick the pencil in the ceiling.
I remember hearing about that story.
Yeah.
That could have paid big dividends today, had you paid attention.
I know.
Clearly, I passed all levels of Spanish, and all I know is my name is Miguel.
Miguel. We were talking a little bit about nicknames. We got old Jason Karshbaum in here for the first time for Beers and Bucks, and
let's get a big cheers to old Jaybird.
Jaybird. I like Jaybird, and I just came up. I mean, I think Wyatt Earp is pretty fitting for Sam with that cheeser mustache.
He's got quite a stash.
It's like when I try and grow a mustache.
No,
it's
his is
maybe
better.
Just don't do it.
His is way better. It would be even more better. Can I say that? If it was not blonde.
Maybe he needs to hit it with a little Just for Men. I used to do that.
Maybe little dirty deeds. Little dirty deeds on that bad boy.
Hit it.
I mean, it wouldn't help him at the bars with the ladies, but
skin it. Skin that smoke wagon.
So far, nobody's passed Spanish. Nobody knows what muchos ojos means. So props to that. It tastes good. And I mean, for me not to be drinking Lemon Breaker on a 85-degree summer evening in Wisconsin, it pains me a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a really good compliment. So
I'm going to try one next after I have my Minnetonka. That sucker's pretty tasty.
It's hoppy, but I can't really taste the hops, which is good because I'm not a big hop guy. So, but
it's dry hopped Mexican lager.
It's wet. It's a beer. It's wet.
Yep, fair.
Yeah. Never run
many eyes. Yeah, I don't know that's what that. Well, Ojos might be eyes.
It would make sense.
And, yeah,
big old owl eyes.
Yeah, and he's got a third eye.
Explain that though,
dude.
Why
Josh,
do you call it many eyes? Now I want a full comprehensive understanding.
Can somebody there's a tool called Google.
Block of eye.
That's what it stands for.
Many eyes, much eyes.
Yeah.
I need some. I want to know why. Why would you call a beer many eyes?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question, huh? Well,
let's talk a little bit about what's going on. We haven't been live in a while. It's been a little bit bonkers, but we made it down to the land this weekend to check in on some of our perennials we got established, and Mike popped out Sunday, and the plots are looking really good, and I think if we'll get more content as we're out there, but we had a big goal that we wanted to get more perennials established on the property, and in both plots that we wanted to do it in, we actually did it and started the process last fall. and we put Sugar Mama in. There's other mixes as well. No BS. I look at my no BS plot from last year in the horseshoe and out by the gate stand. Tons of chicory and clover. So there's a bunch of our mixes that do have your clovers and chicory in it. But with particularly the two fields that I was really honed in on for this year, I went in and I did frost seed a combo of hot chicken comeback into both of them, and I was looking at it and I'm like, man, it still looks like a little bit sparse. Well, as we start to look at it closer, the frost seed growth has just been delayed here in Wisconsin. It's all coming. The growth that we're seeing that looks phenomenal is still last year's Sugar Mama that's coming back, that had a little bit of a jump start because root systems were already established and all that. And I think these things are poised to just go boom in the next week and a half. And we have some good heat coming in. We have some rain coming next weekend. I think the recipe is set up for success there.
Absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point too. With so many of us planting perennials in the spring, we get antsy, we get impatient. We expect them to already be a foot tall and growing. Don't ever compare last year's perennials to this year's. Look at last year's and say, okay, this is where they're going to be once they develop roots and take in nutrients and start to mature. Your first year perennial plot is your worst year. It takes a long time to grow because it lasts a long time. So sometimes perennial plots can make you pull your hair out. However, as time goes on and roots develop and those plants start to take over, you get what you have now coming back this spring with what you planted last fall is a lush clover plot that looks incredible. And then beside it, it's a super cool example of this spring's growth versus last spring's. The stuff you frosted was an inch tall, maybe. Last year's was 6 inches tall. Like, it literally is 10 times the growth. So keep that in mind as we get antsy and look at our perennial plots and think they should be exploding and booming, and you just planted them a month ago or 2 months ago. They don't work like annuals and like brassicas do, where they get one pop at her. They're going to spend as much time growing as fast as they can immediately. Clovers, they're in it for the long haul. So they're going to build roots and establish themselves so they can last a long time. So don't get deterred if your clover plots are starting off a little slower, especially with the shitty weather we've had. You can't kill a clover seed. It's going to hang out and wait for things to be right. If weeds outpace it, give us a holler. We'll find ways to mitigate the weeds and allow those to establish. But your plots were an awesome example of that.
Yeah,
1 year versus 1 month.
And it kind of took this weekend to kind of like realize, like, oh yeah, that is what's going on. And there are some weeds coming in. We always fight weeds where we're at. And the top field, we call it the popple plot. We haven't really done a lot with as far as documenting. This year I think we will talk more about it, but it is a awesome little micro quarter-acre kill plot up on top of the ridge. It's phenomenal. We're going to put a water hole in there this year, and
that's good.
You know, when you look at it, it looks like on the one side it looks awesome, all the regrowth from Sugar Mama. On the other side, it's a little bit slower, and you can tell that the soil conditions just deteriorate as you get closer to the wood edge.
For sure.
And so we're going to hit it with Dirty Deeds. We're going to try and revamp some of the soil, but also I think looking at all the clover that's coming up, this weekend I might go in and hit it with Liquid Courage and give it a little boost with the foliar fertilizer. I can't talk.
Too many muchos ojos.
I haven't even had a muchos ojos yet. I didn't even pronounce the J there. What's up? But yeah, I think it's just being patient on it. And then we have another video, I don't know if it's posted yet, of Brandon. No. He went in and did the same thing, and he's starting to see the weeds come up. And you know, you can go in, you can hit it with Clethodim, which is like a grass only killer. I always like to start with a mow, and once your clovers start to flower, it means they're mature. That's typically our telltale sign to go in and give it a haircut at around 4 or 5 inches. it's not going to hurt your chicory. It's not going to hurt your clover. It gets mowed by deer and it has phenomenal regrowth. But what it'll help to do, because the chicory will grow so fast back in, is it'll help to choke out those weeds. So with your clover plots, especially as you're getting them established, once you get into year 2, year 3 of really having this established and you're not retilling and redisturbing the earth to unearth more weed seeds, you're going to fight less weeds.
Yep.
Especially in this first year as we're getting these established, I expect to fight some weeds. I'd like to avoid putting chemicals down. I try and avoid it like the plague. So giving it a haircut, but the top popple plot, it might require it just because it's so shitty.
It's had a grass problem for forever too. It just seems to, that grass just seems to outpace anything we plant in it. Another thing you brought up too is liquid courage. We've been getting a lot of questions about my clover's an inch tall, can I spray it with liquid courage, etc., or my mother loader, what have you. And so as a foliar fertilizer, it's absorbed through the leaves and the stem, whereas your granular fertilizer are absorbed through the root. So you can spray an inch tall clover plot, but I would wait for that to get 2, 3, 4, 5 inches tall so that it's got more surface area to ensure that you're better utilizing all your liquid courage. It does a way better job to the plant when it lands on the leaf and is absorbed through the pores than it does when it lands on the soil. Most of that's wasted when it's on the soil. Not all of it, but most of it. So let those plants get just a little bit taller. Liquid courage can be sprayed monthly if you want it to be. It's something that can be used frequently. It's very inexpensive for that 2-acre jug, and grass like your lawn, fruit trees, mother load, corn, soybeans, all of our brassica clover mixes, everything.
The primary reason I hit target field is because you had all that regrowth and it looked so phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But I did have a little extra in the backpack sprayer and I went and hit the apple trees because I was
It's great for apple trees.
they want it.
It's incredible. You're going to get more bushels per acre with liquid courage and without it. I would spray one tree and not spray the other. It would be a visible difference. So it's really good on apple trees too. So I would leave a little extra in the tank every time you spray that plot.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that we did, and I'm behind. If we posted the video of the lower field yet.
Tim doesn't pay much of attention to what we actually do and don't do.
Well, no, the problem is there's a new Facebook update, and I'm not very hip on these updates.
So on Sunday, we did something that we haven't done before. We took care of our soil.
Yeah.
What a neat deal, huh?
The lower field needed a little bit of love.
It did. I mean, we've taken nutrients from it for the last 3 years, and we started to see it in the output of the plants. So this spring, we said, hey, we're going to spray Dirty Deeds. We're going to Dirty Deeds the heck out of this thing. We're going to plant overhaul. We're going to regenerate and regrow the soil for our fall planting of Green Machine or Sugar Mama or whatever that is. So it really, for us, the spring has been all about habitat. Establishing perennials, good for everything long term. Building up soil, good for everything long term. So it's kind of an incredible approach. And I tell you what, I know Sam's been busy in the order room with overhaul and mother load and Dirty Deeds and these mixes that are good for your deer, but also really, really good for your soil. So it's fun to kind of see more and more people taking care of their soil. At the end of the day, most food plot failures are due to poor soil conditions. So if you can help get in front of that, it makes for a much better fall. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, we didn't even, when we were testing Dirty Deeds last year, we didn't even put it down there. So I think it's going to be a pretty good testament to, us, we use the product, right? So we got a bunch of it down in there. We put a bunch of overhaul in. We're going to put some corn in again, and we're kind of doing a new design in the lower field. But also when we were down there this weekend, we came up with kind of a new plan. Because right now, if anyone's been following our progress on the lower field. In the last 3 years, we've killed 2 bucks out of the muddy.
Opening 10 days a season.
Yeah, the challenge is access and hunting it later in the season because it's literally in the middle of the field. And regardless of having corn or incognito, you still got to walk 90 yards, and deer are smart. I started utilizing the Rambo e-bike, and it spooks them less, but you're still boogering deer, and there's no real good way to get in and out of it without boogering deer if they're in there. So we kind of came up with some thoughts around what we want to do, kind of future state in that lower plot.
It was my original plan.
Well, it was Mike's original plan, but he didn't volunteer to come help
He
plant.
got vetoed.
No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna probably make some tweaks to it next year. We just kind of ran out of time this year, but watch for some plans on that.
Yeah, for sure. We're the perfect customer statement because we say one thing and then do another.
Yeah.
Access.
Hey,
and we
it's
walk
in the middle of the field.
9,000 yards into the middle of a field to hunt and kill two good bucks.
I mean,
the incognito helped and all that. I get that.
It's been super successful hunting it there because you can hit all angles. But what I think we're gonna try and do is prove the theory that you can manipulate deer. And if you follow our Facebook page, we show a lot of homegrown and what they're doing to manipulate deer in front of their blinds because access is key. And I think that's probably the direction that we're going to try and go is how do we manipulate deer through the field to get them where we want so we can still exit the muddy and not booger every single deer in the field.
We'll still use incognito, just a lot less of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you can use 20 yards of it instead of 200 yards of it, I mean, the benefit's going to be there. And also, too, like when you can access it off that logging road instead of walking the field edge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many deer that bed up on that hillside that the incognito blocks you from the field, but it doesn't block you from the woods.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that setup will help you kill
potentially more deer.
I hate to say more deer. You've killed 66% of the time, but it's not going to hurt. It's going to be good. So I love the plan. It's going to be a fun chore moving that blind across the field. So if anybody has any brilliant ideas on how to do that without...
We just need a bigger tractor than... I mean, I hate to say my dad's tractor is small, but Dad, I'm sorry, your tractor's not big. And so, we just need, we need somebody to show up with a big boy tractor with forks.
Yeah, because it's going to basically lift that muddy up so you can just move it without having to tear it down.
Maybe we bring our forklift down from the
I don't
shop.
think old Forky's got it in him.
Put some chains on
There's
the tires.
no way. Forky barely gets to the end of the dock and back. He's got a few miles on him. Yeah, we are the proud owners of a new forklift. New to us.
Sucker's nice. We need some maintenance
Nice
done.
Toyota.
She barks. I mean, she's been good to us.
Oh, it's been great to us.
So it's no offense to the Muchos Ochos. I am a huge fan of Minnesotan, and I really like this. And I think if I was out on the boat in the sun, I would absolutely hammer.
You know what would be really good? A lime.
Oh,
Like it would just change my life right now. If I could just dabble a little bit of lime in there. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Every good Mexican beer,
you toss a little lime in there, and she just like Corona.
Corona by itself, skunky. Corona
You
the lime.
get a little limer in there.
Yep. This
And
needs just a little bit of lime.
The only one I would say that doesn't
Poor
is
planning.
Don't
say Dos Equis. That stuff's just
no,
like dog
not
poop.
Dos Equis, dude.
Soul?
And it's not because Soul's good. It's not because I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan, although I do appreciate his
That needs
music.
a lime.
Landshark.
That needs a lime.
Landshark does not need
It
a
needs
lime.
a lime.
No, I would put that up for debate. I don't think that sucker needs it.
All right. Well, up for
maybe,
debate.
Maybe somebody else can chime in.
Yeah, I mean, I think all Mexican beer needs a lime.
It's not Mexican beer. It's Jimmy Buffett. The guy.
You're the one who called it Mexican beer, not me.
No, I said along the lines of Mexican beer. Big difference.
Ah.
Well, we can listen back to the
that might be right, Spencer.
Pacifico doesn't need
Pacifico
lime.
doesn't need a lime. You're right.
I tell you what was the
I don't
beer?
think Muchos Ojos does either.
When we were in the Dominican,
I like
can't remember the name of the beer that it was.
I don't
down
remember
there.
getting the invite, so I don't know.
That sucker was not ideal. I was like, yeah, I needed a couple of them.
Yeah, I can't speak from experience there. I wasn't there.
Thank you, Dan. Doesn't need a lime. So the other big thing is, we launched Mother Load this year, and if you're around the Midwest, soil temps are there. And
Finally.
it's ready to get planted. And the key thing with Mother Load to keep in mind is, like, this is not a Roundup ready bean mix. So if you're fighting weeds, you still need to put control like you would with your brassicas to take care of weeds, and hopefully till, let the weeds come up, spray, and then broadcast it in and maybe Cultipack or roll it in.
Or drag.
But it's definitely not a Roundup ready mix, so you need to be conscious of weed control. And we found it out when we were testing it last year in a couple of spots. We did really good weed control in one area and we didn't do anything in the other. And you're still going to get choked out with weeds in the spring if you're not taking that into account. And your Roundup ready beans, your Roundup ready corn, you go in after it starts to germ, you spray the weeds, everything's great. Mother Load needs to be treated kind of like your fall brassica plots, where you take care of the weeds and you try to not disturb the soil as much as you can after you plant it, and you should have really good success with it. Obviously, you still need rain, you still need those things in your favor, but something to point out.
Now with soil temps rising up into the upper 60s and into the 70s soon, I mean, you're going to see a lot quicker germination with it now. It's not going to sit there and rest and wait for soil temps to warm. So really the next 40 days in Wisconsin is prime time for planting Mother Load. The plants in there mature anywhere from 60 to 120 days. So that mix is such a good mix for your deer, but also it has a lot of soil building characteristics too that we don't really talk about with Mother Load. But it's really damn good for your soil too. So it's a neat mix. And for those of you that like shooting big bucks, if you're into that sort of thing, protein is the catalyst to make those antlers grow. And Mother Load's easily our number one grossing protein producer, even a little bit more than our Comeback Kid and Hot Chick, which are in the 30s. So
what if you're like me though and you just like mid-tier bucks?
Well, I mean, you can just keep doing what you're doing then.
Okay.
Yep. You just keep doing your thing.
I've never been a big buck guy.
Never been a big buck guy. Well, you should put Mother Load in the bottom field. You didn't. You put an Overhaul.
Damn it.
So you should get your 125.
See, it's all these little, like,
you should get your
tips and
125 September 15th now.
These
So you'll
tips
be
and
good.
tricks that are never shared with me, and
Well,
good God.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's been fun to see the amount of people jumping on the Mother Load bandwagon, and we really haven't gotten to see the true benefit of it yet because the plots have all just been planted.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see those big velvet deer in there in July and August and September. And for those planting it a little bit later, those green beans in September and October are going to be pretty damn cool too. So it's got a ton of benefits. If you have questions about it, holler at us. If you're not sure about how to plant it, when to plant it, where to plant it, why to plant it, yell at us. One thing I will say, if you're planting in the shade, Mother Load's not your guy. Go with a Hot Chick or a Comeback Kid or an OBS. It's going to need full sun in order to be successful. So,
Well, and that Mother Load's one of those too that should just get hammered to the point where in the fall you could probably go in and just broadcast your brassicas and then Cultipack over it, or roll over it, or drag, whatever you need to do to get the good seed to soil contact. It should be pretty well dismantled by the time. And that's kind of like the thing we did with the lower field this year with Overhaul. Like, yeah, Overhaul, oh, it's a soil, like, it helps boost your soil, like, sure, but buckwheat, all the good things that are in that mix, the deer love, and they're still going to hit it during the summer months. And then you go back in, and what we'll probably do is we'll see kind of the state of it. If we need to till it again, we will, but more than likely we should be able to go over it kind of cultipack it down, knock it down, and then go in and broadcast our fall mixes, and then go in and cultipack again. And I think it's going to turn out fantastic. But the biggest thing for us with that lower field, just we've been rotating corn in there a lot to try and divert deer, and that soil is really poor. We have really sandy soil. Again, another big benefit of Dirty Deeds with sandy soil is it's going to help with water absorption. It's going to help with all those good things that help your fall brassicas grow. So adding overhaul in is just going to add another layer of help for it.
Yep. Also, too, I mean, I remember more so back in the day, not as much anymore, but used to have people that I would talk to, and they'd say, you can't plant beans unless you're planting at least 2 acres. And I think Motherlode is a perfect example of the perfect thing to plant in less than 2 acres. For the reasons you just mentioned, tons of forage, tons of protein, good for your soil. Deer are going to absolutely crush it, with the idea that you can come back in and overseed something else into it to freshen up for the fall.
But also Motherlode has plants that are going to mature at different stages.
100% there.
So, I think that's another big difference too, is when you talk about soybeans or you put one single plant variety.
Absolutely.
And we talk a lot about Green Machine, and I'm solely convinced the reason my dad killed that awesome buck in that was because the winter peas were ripe and ready, and they go in and they pick out every single winter pea, but they're not hitting the other plants because they're not maybe palatable to them yet. And so I think that's the other benefit of this, is it's got multiple varieties that mature at different phases. So they're not coming in and just crushing it all at one point. You're going to have multiple phases throughout your summer during the growth where they're going to hit it. They're still going to hammer it, and then you can still come in and plant it, but it's not like some of those plants in a small food plot where they just come in and just crush it.
Yep.
Which is why most of our mixes offer that variety, and that's why I think a lot of the questions we get is guys get a mix of ours and they go, well, what can I mix with it? And it's like, well, they're already mixed. If you want to add some stuff, you can.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I would say for mixes of ours that you want to add other seed varieties to, if you plant Big Sexy a lot, if you plant Showstopper a lot, some of our plots that are only annuals, mixing in a little bit of perennial would not be a bad play. We sell the pounders on the site, so you could add a little chicory, you could add a little bit of comeback kid into it, and then you'd have that nice clover plot next year. But for the most part, you don't need to be combining mixes. Anytime people combine mixes, they end up overseeding, because you're like, oh, well, they put 2 jugs in, and then you put an acre of seed on less than a half an acre, and then your pot comes in crappy. So, I think that other piece of that is also like paying attention to, like, pull up, buy Onyx, or like get actual like measurements of like how much acreage you're actually planting, because when we first got down to the lower field, when I bought the property, it was
5 acres.
Oh, that sucker's 5 acres.
It's
It's a huge plot.
1.5.
It's literally an acre and a half. I think his hunters were like, oh yeah.
He's a
Look at that.
180-inch deer.
I was down there pounding
he's
my
130.
chest. I was like just King Kong and that.
We measure our food plots like we measure our deer antlers.
Yeah, or other things, but we won't go there.
Yeah. Like to keep it PG.
But yeah, it's just pay really close mind to that. But
especially with annuals.
Yeah,
perennials you can get
away with it,
but
and
annuals you got to be careful.
And annuals, I think even Big Sexy, which is our #1 fall seller, everyone loves that mix. It's an awesome mix, but mixing a little bit of chicory in or mixing a little bit of clover in with it is not a bad thing, because next spring you'd be delighted to see a bunch of green coming up.
Yeah, and perennials establish a lot slower, like we talked about earlier. So you kind of planting perennials with annuals. The annuals take your mind off the perennials. They shade the perennials as they grow. They kind of act as a nurse crop. the next spring, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, I have an incredible clover field, and you kind of forgot you even planted it. So
We got a question from
Old Grover.
Grover. Recommendations for
Yeah.
middle Louisiana. Plenty sun, 1 spot dirt, 3 spots dirt, some sand mix, no till or till, and when to plant, grass and a few weeds growing now, new plots.
all right, Grover. So I'm assuming you don't know your pH, but it would be a handy tool to snag one of those comprehensive pH test kits. Just kind of give us some background on what we're working with. My guess is these plots are cut through the pines. Most of Middle Tennessee is pine trees. If I'm wrong, correct me.
No, Louisiana.
Or sorry, Louisiana I meant. It's pine trees in middle Louisiana. I would, sight unseen, not knowing your pH, I would look to try to get a couple of these going in the spring and a couple of these in the fall. And I'd get some pelleted lime down. I'd till that in. I don't know if you meant no till or till, meaning what do I recommend, or what, if you can till, I would. Piney, yep. I would till some lime in and some dirty deeds, because that sandy soil, typically in Louisiana, unfortunately, is not packed with nutrients, and dirty deeds is going to allow your plants to absorb more of the nutrients you'll give it through fertilizer. One full sunspot, mother load, 100%. It likes heat, it likes humidity. It's going to provide a ton of protein in the spring and summer. One of those, if it's perhaps semi-shaded, might be a really good spot to try to establish some hot chick. And then in the fall, I'm going to probably take Tim's plan and look at like a Hall Pass, a green machine with Comeback Kid, or a No BS and Comeback Kid, something to get you through the fall, but also start to build up some perennials for the next spring. We're getting into pretty high temps in Louisiana right now. So if you're going to plant a perennial now, you're going to want to use a nurse crop to help shade it, or kind of focus on the fall to plant those. But mother load, it's going to like your heat. It's going to want it to be in the 80s to really get that going. So mother load now, perhaps hot chick with a nurse crop now. And then in the fall, I like Hall Pass or green machine, and I like to integrate some perennials into there. Again, that's me not knowing your pH, and I would.
But I would assume with the pines, it's
going to be acidic. Yep, that's why I get that lime down, get that dirty deeds down, and start to build that soil up. Maybe some overhaul. Heck, I mean, if you're willing to plant spring and summer, summer and early fall, then I'd run overhaul wherever you don't plant mother load or a hot chick. Build that soil up. We know it's not going to be good, likely. So
we've got a big strip of pines that has really sandy soil by it, and we've been putting hot chick in there for quite a while, and it's done pretty well. But it took a while of putting lime down and putting like our dirty deeds down.
I wish we had dirty deeds like 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh! If we would started hitting it, you know. But pines inevitably means acidic soil, and you know that means poor pH. So the more work you can do on that, the better. You can't go wrong with the green machine in the fall. Yeah,
that's my go-to.
Yeah,
I mean, so what was it, like August 20th maybe? Jake and I seeded the plot behind my house, planted green machine, and I threw some hot chick down in it, and possibly the best food plot I've ever had in my life. Deer, there was 9 to 10 deer in it every single night. They ate it down to an inch tall. This spring, I shot a video in there a week ago, and easily the best spring plot I've ever had in my life. I mean, we had winter rye in there, and then the clover and chicory was 4 or 5 inches tall. It was incredible. So we tilled it in.
Dang it all. Well, that's what's happening with the green machine we planted last year is our winter rye came back, and what a nurse crop for all of that clover and chicory. And then eventually we'll go in and we'll maybe mow as high as we can, but you have all of this great clover, and then you go in and you till it in, and you're giving your soil so much boost by leaving some of those cover crops in. You're not fighting as many weeds.
That winter rye is really good for your sandy, nutrient-dense soil too.
For sure.
So
this beer really warmed up to me, by the way.
I like it. It's good.
I think the
a
problem
lime would send it friggin'.
Well, the problem
off
was
the
is I
planet.
went from, I mean, I love Coors Light.
For those of you who don't know, we're talking about Muchos Ojos from
Muchos
our good friends at Hop and
Ojos.
Barrel here in Hudson, Wisconsin.
But you can't go from one beer to another and then not expect the change to kind of hit you.
You need so when you're eating sushi, what's that stuff you have in between sushi to cleanse the palate?
I only eat cooked sushi, like
What is it? Somebody help me out.
wasabi.
No, wasabi's the hot shit. So when you go from one sushi roll to the next, you put ginger
Ginger, yeah.
to like even out your palate. Maybe that's what you got to do in between.
See,
beers.
I've never done that. But I don't ever change sushi rolls. If it's me, it's got shrimp tempura,
Well,
the
yeah, but
crunchy roll.
You got to get the crunch and the Angry Dragon.
I don't believe in that. If that thing still,
Ginger.
if that thing still has
love these people.
a probability
I love
of
these
flopping
people.
when it comes in, there's no way. Like
What
raw,
other questions do we want the answers to?
I don't know. This
They've
has
got
been
all of them.
fantastic. Yeah, ginger is key.
Maybe
I
we
think-
should go back. Maybe we should go back to try to name our brand new product we're going to launch at some point that we still haven't named. We were going to call it Booty Call, and then we got yelled at because it was too risque. Maybe we call it Muchos Ojos. Little Spanish thing.
Many eyes in the field.
Ooh, Timmy.
How about the fact that I drove to work today, and we have our office is like in the middle of a city, and I go to walk to the front door, and I shit you not, I'll show you the video. There is probably the biggest tom
Ooh.
turkey I've ever seen.
Fanned out.
Spurs were 2 inches,
here we go.
inch and a half.
World record Minnesota turkey right there.
No, I ain't kidding. Look at the size of that beard.
It's like 9 inches.
It's a healthy bird.
It's got a good strut.
It was full strutting, looking at itself in the front door, and I'm sitting here
ready
going,
to wreck himself.
like, I need to get in here, sir. And it gobbled at me.
Did you gobble back at him?
I tried, yes.
Can you give me your best gobble?
I have kind of a throat thing, like I'm fighting that cold.
Yeah. Normally I'm way better
No,
at
literally, this thing was full strutting in front of the door. It wouldn't let me in. And
that. So what did you do? Did you call him sick?
No, I chased it off. I was like, "Get out of here, turkey!" But I get in,
He was.
and we have another gal that works in accounting that's a little bit older, and
What does that have to do with the
she
story?
sat in her car for like 2 hours 2 days ago or Monday, and yesterday, and wouldn't come in because it wouldn't let her in the office. So we got this rogue turkey, and
Do we got to send the old?
I think we might have to send
turkey
the old
chasers
hit
over there?
squad, get some permission across the road, call that baby in.
I mean, Jake's got a tag. He's ready to punch.
I'm sitting here looking out the
How much
window.
does the front door cost? Just send him right through the freaking front door.
We should. I'm sitting there outside the office, and he's gobbling all day today. I'm like, go on, get.
Can't find a turkey when you're hunting them. When you're not hunting them, they're everywhere.
Yep.
That's why I hate turkeys.
But I ain't kidding you. I would say 1.5 inch spur.
The boys,
on the one side.
you just went from 2 inches to 1.5 inches. By tomorrow, it'll be an inch.
It was big.
This guy, you can tell he's a fisherman.
Yeah.
The guy tells a lot of fishing stories.
I'm just saying this was a big damn tom.
It was a very nice Tom, like a 2-year-old.
It wasn't a 2-year-old. Do you see the girth on the beard? Obviously, because we've never made it out turkey hunting because we sleep in.
I killed a turkey
accidentally.
last year.
Okay.
Shot it right in the face.
Yeah. How about the one you winged with the crossbow and we blood tracked for 200
Winged. I
yards?
shot that sucker hard.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. He hit direct hit.
If
Yeah.
I had a
you'd
better
never found the
guide, I
turkey.
wouldn't have had to spend all day lugging that heavy ass crossbow around. I was trying to do Raven a good deed. And
Well, in fairness, we also have gone 0 for 2 on actually waking up before
we're
sunrise
the
for turkey
worst.
hunting. And the last time we went turkey hunting together, it was like we were like we were very motivated that like we aren't doing the Home Alone thing again.
and we did it.
And all of a sudden I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Remember
And
what happened then though?
what?
The carbon monoxide alarm went off like 3 a.m. in the cabin.
Yeah.
Because the battery was dead, and we all thought we were going to die.
Yeah, here
And
we
then
go.
realized the battery was dead, and went to bed at 3 and never woke up again
Yeah.
till like 8.
Well,
And waking up early to hunt turkeys is just hard for me.
it shouldn't be. I mean, I was pretty amped up, but couldn't get you up. You know, it's like, what's going on here?
Uh-huh.
We had totally the Home Alone moment, though. We slept in 2 times in a row. So
We ran around the house.
we've given it a little bit of a break.
Like a 10-year break.
We'll maybe come back to it again and say, all right, we are actually going to turkey hunt.
You know what's the sad truth about this whole thing? We both drew turkey tags this year,
And neither of us went.
or actually bought the tag.
No,
Yeah.
we're pathetic.
We are the problem. We are the problem. My problem is I'm the only human being to ever fall out of a tree stand turkey hunting. So if you can fall out of a tree stand turkey hunting, it just ain't for you.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe-
a backstory there, but it's true. Your dad witnessed it.
I think you're a little scarred.
Yeah, I mean, I did the old pirouette out of the tree stand. So
Safety
in my
harnesses.
defense, why would you carry your safety harness while turkey hunting?
Why would you climb into a tree stand while turkey
Because
hunting?
that food plot that we hand raked in on the logging road was so pristine. I had to get a picture of it.
Yeah. We this is back when
First one we ever did.
this is back
hand
when
tools.
Mike and I first met.
Yeah.
And we didn't really think we had much to put food, and this is before food highways and all the
It
things
was the
we've
first
been
food
doing.
highway we created. Didn't even know we created it yet.
God dang.
I know. So that's why I climbed up the ladder, and then I won't name any names, but whoever put the ladder together when they put that tree stand up, as you know, when you put up ladders, they're in what, like 3-foot sections.
I put the tree stand up.
But this is one that, like, the steps were alternating.
But I do it intentionally so
And if
people
you
stay the
flip
hell out
the
of my
last
stand.
one, that last step is this far apart. So as I raced up 25 feet, I missed the last step. Inherently grabbed the seat of the tree stand, which flung me off the tree.
Well, it's all about preparation.
Had the person setting the tree stand up had a safety rope that would have escorted me
That
up.
was before safety ropes
That's
even
fair.
existed.
I mean, let's be honest. 10 years ago, nobody wore a safety belt anyways.
I'm all about them now.
100%. They're the best thing ever. And I love the ones I clip into, climb up, and I'm good to go the whole way because I fell out climbing up, not sitting in it.
Yeah, I think your
So-
main incident issue is getting in and out of your stand.
I think it's the guy that sets up the tree stand with the rungs upside down so that his buddy climbs up it and misses one and falls
in
off.
fairness,
We weren't buddies then?
no.
I mean,
And I have
fair.
much longer legs than you, and I'm far more athletic.
All of those things are false, I think.
I've never seen a wrestling trophy from you. I'm going to switch gears though because I'm pretty juiced up, and this is something that I'm excited about. Shot for Hope they're out of Hudson, where we're based out of, and they take at-risk youth. Why can't I talk today?
Muchos ojos.
People with like these kids that have they're sick or they have different disabilities, and they try and make their dream hunt come true. And it's super cool because we sponsored it the first year we started the company, and it raised awareness to one of our good buddies, Brandon, and Brandon nominated this guy Ben Huschbeck,
Is that who?
and that's who
awesome.
got awarded the hunt here at the end of April.
So is Brandon coming up for the Shot for Hope next year?
He's got to come up next year.
I want to hunt this year.
He doesn't want any
Hell of a deal.
he doesn't want any like credit for it, obviously, but it's like the awareness that through Domain we were able to raise, and all of a sudden this guy from Richland Center
What
gets to go on elk hunt.
Elk hunt? All right, sweet.
And it's just it's super cool. So if you haven't checked them out yet, please smash a like on Shot for Hope. I'm hesitant on who I support as far as like where does this money actually go. This money all goes to these kids' hunts, and like it's super freaking cool. And you know what their biggest issue is?
Finding kids.
They don't have enough kids.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so spread the word. I think predominantly the reach right now is Midwest, and I know we've got a lot of folks from all across the country. Spread the word for Shot for Hope. It's not one of those where there's some CEO sitting at the top cashing out a big check. Like all this money is going to these kids and these hunts, and to be able to see one of our good buddies that heard about about it from us nominate a kid and have this 16-year-old from Richland Center, Wisconsin
That's pretty cool.
get selected. I think that's like super, super cool.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to plug that quick.
It'll be fun to watch his hunt next year
Yeah.
because they show the hunt at the event. And this last year, I wish I could remember the kid's name, but he was hilarious. He was a Stitch. He was a stand-up comedian. It was incredible. He shot a big giant deer in Illinois, and he was eating it up. It was a pretty fun deal. So it'll be fun to watch his big old elk hunt in September or October. Do you know? Does it say? Doesn't matter.
There's 2 recipients. He's
Okay.
one of them.
Cool.
But yeah, he's
That'll
going,
be awesome.
He's going on an elk hunt.
Just think of that first big hunt you went on that hooked you for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's hard to go on an elk hunt and not become hooked to hunting. So
Yeah.
I would think that'll be a pretty neat opportunity for that young guy. So
Sorry to get deep on you there, Orville.
I think shit was getting deep when we were talking about you trying to kill me.
I didn't intentionally do it.
Positive.
It's kind of one of those things where your sister starts dating a guy and you put him through the ringer.
And then your dad like, oh, the son I never had, and then you get a little upset and things get weird.
All of a sudden, I'm son 2.
Tim tries offing me on the tree stand. Doesn't work.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean-
life's a garden. Dig it.
He saw, I mean,
I got to go back to Minnetonka on this.
that's all right. That's a win-win. For those of you that don't know, we're drinking Muchos Ojos tonight. It's weird to see me without a lemon breaker in hand, but this is pretty good stuff. We're celebrating Cinco de Mayo 2 weeks late. No big deal.
Yeah, well,
Right?
we were supposed to have a Beers and Bucks earlier. Schedules didn't allow.
Schedules didn't allow. Yep.
We got to get June's booked, but June's getting a little squirrely.
June is a crazy month, but we'll get one booked in June
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I think the big thing is like for guys that are like getting amped up, like the message is like, yes, get plots in, but also start paying attention to your soil right now. And
Yeah.
if you haven't done a pH test, like we sell a super affordable one on our website. Like get yourself a baseline of where your pH is at. And just understanding that is going to help your soil or help your plots produce better this fall, because still a lot of people put their fall plots in. We sell 2. We have a comprehensive test, and then we have this one. This one, get yourself a gallon of distilled water, a few solo cups, get 4 or 5 soil samples across, and fill your solo cup half up. Fill the rest with distilled water, stir it up, make it a sludge, and you literally dip the wick in, and it's going to give you a good baseline. If you want a more comprehensive one, I think it's like $30 or something on the site.
Yep.
It gets sent in. We get the lab results. You get the lab results, and we can put a good
Full
plan.
breakdown.
But if it's not spring planting and I want to get a really solid fall plot in place, that should start right now.
Yep.
And you can do a lot of things right now to start preparing your soil for your fall plots. So, it's never, that's the whole basis of this weekend with what we did is it's not, yes, we're going to give them some food with overhaul. They're going to love it. But our whole plan there was around how are we going to get this constructed so we can go, 3 for 4?
Yeah.
Down in the lower field? No.
It would be 3 for 4, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
2
would
for
be.
2 and then 2 for 3.
Well, I never was good at math.
Nope, 3 for 4. That's 75%.
75%
For anybody
success
counting
rate.
at
That's
home.
what we're targeting with the lower field this year.
That'd be
And
pretty solid.
last year we could have killed a buck there. I just wasn't there.
Then I'd be batting 1,000, Tim. I mean, I could have killed a buck every year, but I wasn't sitting in my tree.
Well, if Mike ever hunted,
I did not hunt the farm last year with my bow, and this year I promise I will.
Please.
Yep, I'll hunt. I'll come down and
You
make
shouldn't
it
have
3
to
for 4.
beg your brother-in-law to actually come hunting with you. It's like, if nothing else, maybe we could sit and play some cards and at least catch up on.
So in my defense,
Life.
Tim was hunting a big deer. One of the biggest deer that have been on the farm in years. And for those of you that don't know, I have a horseshoe so far up my ass
Yeah.
that I couldn't find it if I tried. And I knew in my head that I did not put the work in during the summer to help grow the plots. And if I was going to sit in a tree, that damn deer was going to walk right up to me, and I was going to shoot it.
Well, and
then I was going to feel bad. You guys would have been happy and jolly, but down deep inside, I've been like, God dang it, I didn't earn this deer.
I mean, deep down would I've been upset?
Yes!
For sure. But also, our neighbor Jim shot him.
He killed it. Didn't matter. So I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, well.
And then in November, I was gone.
Jim's a great guy.
Heck of a guy.
He's been a
Heck of a
long-time
deer,
friend.
heck of a guy.
Happy he killed him. But
So
also,
that
F
explains
you,
my
Jim.
thought process. That explains my
So
thought.
kind of mad at Jim. Next time I see Jim, he's going to buy me a beer.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Because I haven't seen him since.
So this year I'll come down there and I'll shoot the biggest deer in your property for you.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, it'd be fun. We'll do it.
I would have
Let's
a
do
great
it.
time.
Let's plan on it.
Well,
Let's do
but also, another update. 2 weekends ago, I'm at the cabin, had the blinds open, and I had a flying fawn spotting.
it. So now it's a flying yearling.
It's a yearling,
Yeah.
and that thing was zipping through.
She made her, huh?
She made it through, and
Back from the North Pole after a successful Christmas.
it is time. Like I'm all about let them grow. No, the flying fawn's gonna get schwacked this year.
See,
So we're gonna put a strategic plan together. It's got a little ring that it flies through. This thing zipped across the field in like 5 seconds, and then next thing you know, it's up on the ridge. Deer are running everywhere, and this was 2 weekends ago. I'm like, this deer needs to go.
what I love about Tim is he always gets sidetracked by some doe of some sort.
You haven't
For like
seen
5
it.
years, it was this doe that had a broken ear.
Flop ear.
Floppy ear. And I loved her. Every time I saw her, she had a buck in tow. Every time Tim saw her, she was snorting and staring at him. So I think it's a hunter problem and not a deer problem.
You told me not to
It's like
kill
the
that
great-
deer. You're like, don't kill her. She pumps out 3. I'm like, I don't care.
Pumps out triplets, and I swear to God, every time I sat, she ran a
You
buck
know what?
past me.
You know what? I think the last time she had
So,
2 buck fawns and she
hunter issue.
had a doe fawn, and I think that doe fawn is now the flying fawn. And
that was her legacy. To be like, all right, I don't care what you do, but whatever you do, F with this guy for as long as you can.
the doe that I killed this year, I thought was the flying fawn, and then a week later, it's just zipping around, just hot laps.
Yep.
She needs to go. So we're gonna I don't even care about a buck this year. I want to kill the flying fawn. Flying
Kind of
yearling.
seems like the last 4 or 5 years you haven't cared much about bucks.
Yeah. Well, that actually hurts a little bit, but it's fine.
I got a feeling it's going to be Timmy's year in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's just my feels. My feels.
Well, the shit thing is I think I'm going to fly in a day late, so I'm going to miss a day.
I'll hunt the pond the first day.
No, sir.
He's doing that as a cop-out to not drive. It's a cop-out.
No,
It's a cop-out.
it's not a cop-out.
Cop-out. Complains about, oh, my back hurts. Oh, my butt hurts. Oh, your truck's too bumpy.
Well, that truck sucks.
And
right
now
in
all
the
of a sudden it's like,
backseat.
oh, I guess I have to fly in late.
It's like, hey, Chevy, yeah, I want to sit on a cinder block for 11 hours. That sounds
14.
great. Yeah, how about we maybe add a little bit of padding for the folks in the back? What is this?
He's the only guy I know that's about to go on a week-long rut hunt and complains the whole way there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting bitch the whole time.
Because you're the smallest person.
I'm not the smallest person. I'm way taller than Jake. Jake's like 5'6". He's up there putting his feet up on the dash,
Maybe
which
when
you
he wears
shouldn't
the
do that
Vans.
because I've seen videos.
Maybe when he wears the Vans.
He's got the Vans on. He used to be a skater. He's a limber. It's like, get in the back. I haven't stretched in years.
Clearly. Oh God! Again, it's a man problem, not a truck problem.
Caleb, Northeast Oklahoma, fall plot, no BS or Green Machine. How about both?
Flip a coin.
Yeah, both are awesome, dude.
I'm gonna say Green Machine. Tim's gonna say no BS. You can't lose.
I love No BS. It's my favorite plot, but I've also been putting more Green Machine in the lower plot.
Green Machine is special.
I love Green Machine.
It is special. What about Big Sexy? I mean, that's the OG. There's been more deer killed in the Big Sexy plot than any other domain food plot, and that's not a question.
Yeah.
Just saying. Also, too, one more thing. We got a late start because of technical difficulties.
It was Jake's fault. Wyatt had nothing to do with
That's
it.
fine. It wasn't Wyatt. Oh God, we got Jaybird and Wyatt. Oh boy, Wyatt.
I like it.
Oh, Wyatt Earp. He's gonna show up tomorrow.
I think
wearing a
we need to
cowboy
take
hat.
a picture of him and post it in the comments just so people understand what we're dealing with.
Can we take the picture that you showed me the other day, holding your big shed?
Oh, no.
Oh no. Okay. Doesn't look like Wyatt Earp in that picture. No, not
I just
at
want
all.
to understand what we're dealing with here. We got three wiseacres sitting here staring at us this whole time.
I think next week's show they're going to be behind the mics and we're going to sit over there, just stare at them. I do have something to say though. I saw earlier in the comments, way back there were like 4 people in a row that were talking about deer smashing their recharge right now. Now's a really good time to put it out there because fawns are growing, does are producing milk, they're coming off winter, they're packing on the protein, antlers are growing. I know it's fun to put it out in August and September when antlers are fully developed or just about fully developed, but it's a really good idea to start it now. The earlier you start it, the happier you'll be in September. So,
Well, and fawns around us are dropping. I saw,
yep.
Mike saw like one that was just born.
Veda was pretty jacked about it. She was her first fawn of the year.
I saw one that was kind of keeping along with mom, but was definitely still flop-legged.
Old giraffe legging it.
Yep.
Yeah. Like Sam running through the woods.
Do we have a video of that?
He's like 8 feet tall.
He's a tall drink of water,
Very
for sure.
tall. Very tall. Was Wyatt Earp tall?
He's pretty good size.
Yeah, similar build.
Depends on who, portrayed him.
It's fair.
Tombstone's my favorite portrayal of Wyatt Earp.
That was a good one. It was a doozy. All right, that's fair. I like Wyatt Earp. It might not stick, but I like it.
Wyatt.
Wyatt's weird because I have friends named Wyatt. He looks.
But we just call him Earp. I like Earp.
We got Spinner, Jaybird, and Earp.
Spinner, Jaybird, and Earp.
And Ergie. Ergie and Earp are kind of close though.
That's fine.
That's tough. Quite a crew we got
The
here.
Green Machine
The guys that
couldn't
make it all
stay
happen.
afloat last year due to being murdered by deer as soon as there was any solid growth.
Yeah, that's a blessing and a curse. Like I said, it's gonna be hard for me not to plant Green Machine behind my house this year, but
Well, and
I might plant Hall Pass just because.
when Brian, if it's something where you have high density of deer and heavy graze pressure, you might look at
Shooting more of them.
well, that, or you might put in a mix like our Showstopper. Showstopper has a hybrid brassica that's going to regrow up to 3 times, and it's going to kind of outpace the growth of your other plants to let them mature. And a lot of times they like that fresh growth, and that's why they're coming in and hammering it. So you might do that, or you might, if you mind your seed rates, we do sell a pounder of our hybrid brassica. You might mix that in with Green Machine. Again, that plant's a 1/4 acre. So just really be careful with your seed rakes because Green Machine's a 1/4 acre and that's a 1/4 acre.
Doesn't look anything the same.
No, and it's a
5 pounds to 1
really
pound.
tiny seed. But you might mix something like that in there to just give a little bit more of a cover crop that's going to regrow to help let it recover. I'm assuming it's probably a small plot. So
Brian's field's a pretty good sized field.
he must have a shit ton of deer.
It's a good sized field, Brian. I've seen many pictures of it. If his landowner would stop driving through with his Ranger, it would be helpful too.
That would be beneficial.
That would be great. But, whew, how did we burn an hour, Timmy?
Well, we'll be back in touch with y'all shortly here.
Thanks for being patient.
Yeah, sorry about our technical difficulties.
We'll work on that for next time, but
What?
you know we won't.
No, every single time we're going to have technical difficulties, but we appreciate everyone tagging along, and especially on a nice summer night like it is up here in Wisconsin.
Thanks, Top and Barrel, for making it all possible.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
Keeping the palate
Great-
cleansed.
Great pop. But yeah, cheers, and reach out with questions on Facebook in the meantime, or our website, info@Domain Outdoor. We'll get back to you with a timely response, and happy planting.
Happy planting all.